What's up, you guys? I'm Choice. I'm a vegan artist and tattoo artist right out of here, Miami, Florida. I went vegan in 2011. For me, I was just getting out of high school, just actually dropped out of college and was feeling a little depressed, did a whole spiritual soul searching. And one thing I found was that I attributed a lot of my depression, my unhappiness to the way that I was eating, the way that I was living. I acknowledged that everything had energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed. So I felt, why am I eating dead things and expecting to feel good? So I started looking into it, slowly but surely, found other awesome content like the documentary Cowspiracy, and all these just informational, very powerful things that eventually led me to just becoming vegan, and as an artist, using my art to spread the vegan message, animal rights, and environmentalism.
What was the thing that made you really go 100% and say, I am going to be a vegan?
Absolutely, yeah. It was for sure watching that documentary, Cowspiracy. That the way that it was so well done, how it pinpointed all the different aspects of it, and how there's almost like, everything, the magic of three, right? Mind, body, and spirit. And I definitely felt that documentary outlined them very beautifully, of how going vegan was good for your body, how going vegan was good for the planet, and how going vegan was good for just the majority, like the overall look of humanity.
Excellent, excellent. Now, did you notice anything different after going vegan, physiologically, mentally, emotionally at all?
The biggest change that I felt was the almost, I would say, euphoric positivity of knowing that every single day I felt a little parasitic. I felt like I was looking at myself being like, what am I doing on this planet? Am I helping? Am I taking? And at least with veganism, you do have the sense that you're moving in the right direction. You're doing your best to limit the harm and the destruction that you're doing, not just to another animal, but to your fellow man, to your body, and to the environment. So I for sure felt more of a spiritual upbringing than physically. Oh my God, like I got shredded, got super ripped, had enough energy to work out as many times as I wanted, whenever I wanted. And it's been fun, people always say, oh, you're gonna become a skinny, weak vegan, but I don't think I look very skinny or weak, so.
That's so cool because, typically I go around the country and I do these interviews with just everyday vegans. And it's not every day I get to meet a bodybuilder, because for the most part, most people aren't bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just so cool to be here amongst, so many physically motivated people that totally debunk that myth that you're going to deteriorate.
Absolutely, man. And you almost have to wonder who created those myths to begin with. It's so sad that misinformation spreads that fast, because I think that's all what it comes down to. We have these myths that were brought onto us probably by the animal agriculture industry to begin with, to sell more milk and to sell more meat. They told us that we needed it to be strong and to be big. So, I love watching it, being in that room with a bunch of amazing athletes who look amazing, and they tell you their age and you're just blown away. Like, it goes to show you that this is here to stay.
Yeah, and that room is the Vegan Fitness and Health Expo competition that you're talking about, right?
Yep, the Vegan Health and Fitness Expo, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and you apparently won something here.
I did, yeah. I didn't get this medal for showing up. This was actually my first competition ever in bodybuilding, and it felt, I've been training my entire life, really. So it felt only appropriate that my first competition would be a vegan bodybuilding one. And for this one, I went for men's physique. So I got second place overall in men's physique, and I got beat out by the veteran. But again, it's really funny because it's like, it didn't feel like competition. It felt like collaboration, because we're all out here representing veganism. It's an awesome energy to be a part of.
That's so cool, man. And now, do you have anything that you do online that people might want to check out, like a website or anything?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You guys can stay connected with me on my social medias all across the platforms. It's Choice, that's CHOICE, Artist, ARTIST. And you can stay up to date with all my pieces that I do. I do a lot of collaborations with other animal rights movements and organizations. So hopefully it's something that you guys can enjoy and help spread the message and help change the future for the better.
Now, is that Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
and
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Website? You got a website too? Or?
I do have a website. Actually, I have a website where you can purchase my art shirts. I have my shirts. It's choiceart.storeenvy.com. veganlinked.com. And store envies with one E between the store and the envy. Okay. Hope that makes sense. I don't know why they did it like that.
You've been vegan since 2011. That's the same year I went vegan. Actually.
Really? All right.
It was Gary Yourofsky's best speech that did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that one?
I have, man. I don't think he gets enough credit because for sure was pushing the wave and that information before a lot of other people were, powerful.
So we've been doing this the same amount of time, but I don't look as big as cut as you. So is it hard to get to do what you're doing, man? I mean, it sounds like it's helped you and accelerated your progress in this direction. Is there any challenges?
I think the biggest challenge was the availability of food. You start to realize how limited your resources are when you're traveling, when you're out with friends, There's been plenty of times where I just get the fries or I just get the salad. And it's funny, people always say that veganism is expensive, and I always tell them you're gonna save a lot of money when people stop inviting you to go out to eat. Finding the food is the hardest part. Once you get that down and you start meal prepping and start basically cooking for yourself, which you should be because the quality of your food is gonna be a lot better. Pair that with sleep, pair that with training, and you'll get results.
And I'm curious what a day of eating looks like for you. How do you start and finish your day?
I'm kind of a self-proclaimed vegan junk food kind of person, you know what I mean? I'll basically look at the ingredients list. If it's vegan, I'll eat it. I start off my day with usually oatmeal, some fresh fruit. I'll proceed into the day, get my little workout in, maybe have some type of protein shake or something like that. Maybe a nice vegan sandwich. That's even Publix around here has now. Now we're starting to see it in very bigger stations where they have a meatless sub, which has all the the vegan turkey, the vegan bacon, and I'll usually end my night with some awesome quinoa, maybe some type of legumes, some type of bean, and a meat replacement that's like seitan or tofu. It's that easy. And then vegan ice cream for dessert, baby.
You ever make your own vegan ice cream with frozen bananas?
I haven't, man, but you're gonna put me on with that one.
Dude,
I can already tell.
Dude, I can't believe it. Where have you? You're not vegan.
Yeah, you fake. You haven't made your own.
No, you just take the bananas, you slice them up, put them in a freezer bag, stick it in the freezer.
Okay.
Once it's frozen enough, you stick it in a blender, dude, it's better than ice cream.
Easy done.
And that's all you need.
Yeah.
And then if you want to make it chocolate, you just have some cocoa, or you want it strawberry, whatever.
It makes sense, man. Dude, nature provides. I've never, it's amazing the broad variety of fruits and vegetables there really are. It's you get stuck eating the same 4 animals your entire life and you never realize that nature gave us all that we need and then some,
Yeah. So do you try to do specific foods for any specific nutrients that are better for trying to build and gain?
Yeah. It's so funny for me. I'm a very intuitive dietitian, I guess. I know when I go, wait, when was the last time I ate a fruit? And then I'll go out from there. When was the last time I got vitamin C? And I'll try to gauge it that way. One thing that I've been focusing a lot more on has been actually eating a lot more mushrooms. And the culinary ones, there's a whole variety, and also functional mushrooms, which is a totally, in my opinion, kind of untapped field of study and practice. Is you have lion's mane, you have shiitake, there's all these things, and the mushrooms provide so much of what the quote-unquote vegan diet is lacking, which isn't the case. But it's definitely, mushrooms is something that I would for sure implore people to eat more of.
Yeah, definitely. And you ever heard of Dr. Joel Fuhrman, the G bombs?
No.
Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, and berries.
That covers it. Yeah. That really does cover it.
And I'm curious, does it matter if you eat before or after a workout? And
I always like doing a little bit before, a little bit after. I never overeat. I think that's the problem, is that sometimes people will go, okay, I skipped breakfast, so now I have to have a huge lunch, and then they get lethargic, so they eat you want to treat your body like a machine, and you want to give it the fuel that it needs to get to the destination. You don't want to overfuel it. But I always like eating a little bit before, so I have the energy for my workout, and then eating, depending on what you do. Now, when I'm training legs with my girl, I'm eating a lot after that training session because I'm destroyed. But yeah, you definitely, eating, it's the secret that nobody really talks about. When it comes to building muscle mass, eating is the key.
Do you put exercise over eating for health, or do you put eating over exercise for health?
Yeah, it's funny because for me, I enjoy the exercise part way more than I enjoy the eating part. I love being in the gym. I love working out. I love that feeling. it's actually tougher for me to sit down and to eat and then to go, okay, now I need to eat even more. But without a doubt, when it comes down to the results, some people say it's 90-10 as far as like eating is 90% and training is 10%. I personally think it's more like 60-40, where eating is 60%, but the training is 40%. Because let's be honest, if you're not training your body and getting your body to that point of exhaustion, that breaking point safely, and then supplementing it with the right foods, you know what I mean? It's like they're a tag team. They're a tag team.
And do you try to get like a lot of raw, or do you do a little ratio of raw to cook?
Totally. It's balancing everything, man. So I try to, as much things as I can keep raw, I will. But other dark greens, if I want to cook down some spinach or something like that, or some broccoli, I'll do that. It's just balancing everything. I always even can note and be like, okay, you know, what if I had too much, or what haven't I had enough of, you know?
Do you feel like you're an ethical vegan at all, or mostly just health oriented?
Oh no, definitely ethical. That's for sure what got me into the movement more so. I almost have a dramatic standpoint with it, where I think Gandhi actually said that if not eating a cow would mean his death, that he would welcome it. And I kind of feel the same way personally, because for me it's more about what's happening with the animals. It's more about what's happening with the animals than what's happening in my body. The fact that I get to walk away from it looking, feeling, and being better is a plus. And that kind of is like the proof in the pudding almost, you know what I mean? To be like, maybe this is where we're supposed to be at. But yeah, no, man, I believe so strongly in this, and it pains me that more of the world isn't taking the opportunity or the try to go vegan, because, and again, I think that everything in due time, but that's the problem, is that we're running out of time.
Could you be with somebody who isn't vegan?
Me personally, nah. But luckily I'm not. You know, I'm with someone who is vegan and believes just as much as I do about taking care of the animals and taking care of the planet and taking care of their bodies. So I'm really fortunate with that.
Was she vegan before you met her?
She was transitioning.
Oh, okay.
She was transitioning. So, but you know,
Was she just saying that?
No, yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? Stashes away the steak. No, she was pescatarian. So she ate, and the only thing that she ate that was an animal product was like sushi. But it's so funny because it was like, I get that. I'm Bahamian, so I understand where in my background, conch is a big part of the diet. Fish is a big part of the diet. And then they look at me and they're like, well, the fish isn't an animal. And you're like, they don't feel pain. You know, so I think that when your heart is in the right place, it's really easy for you to make those transitions.
Why do you think some people have a difficulty maintaining it? Do you think they were vegan to begin with?
I think it depends on what their intentions were. Yeah. You know, I think that sometimes when people get into something thinking that they're gonna, you know, get a six-pack, or maybe that they're gonna get really healthy and fight off something that they're battling that's a disease that may be bigger at that point than what their diet can do. Or if people do it without the guidance of good information, maybe they're eating poorly or something like that. But I think that at the end of the day, where there's a will, there's a way. I believe in what veganism represents. I don't want to eat the flesh of another being, regardless of what it is. So I'm going to find a way to make that work. And I think that if somebody is passionate about something like that, they'll find a way to make it work. And there's plenty of successful stories. Like, look, you and I have been at it for more than 10 years, and we're still here. Yeah. And I had a grandma that was like, you're going to die. But, hey, grandma, I'm still here, and she's not. Whoops. I'm joking.
Yeah, how about other family members? Are they supportive?
Yeah. I was blessed with a team and a family that they all went vegan with me. And I think that makes it so much easier when you have other people with you to kind of almost like accountability buddies. You know what I mean? You're looking at people being like, hey, you didn't slip up today, right? No. And they're still vegan to this day. The last person that I got vegan in my family was my dad. And he was like, he was a bodybuilder. So for him, it was all about the protein and where he's going to get it from. And you know, we just sat down, he did his research, and now he's vegan. He's 61. He looks amazing for his age. And you know, people still think that he's my big brother at the gym. It's crazy.
That's so cool. You're so lucky to have support like that.
Yeah.
And I think that might be another part of the challenge people have, is they don't have that support.
Absolutely. We're social creatures. You know what I mean? We need camaraderie, whether we like it or not. We need to have people around us that feel the same and that can help us on our journeys. And that's what events like this are so awesome about, is because you're actually in a room with other people who feel the same way that you do. And it lets you know that you're not alone. And that's huge, because I could totally see where If you were the only vegan in the world, I don't know how long that would last, you know?
A lot of people are probably going to be envious of the fact that you were able to get so much support from your family. Do you have any tips on how to approach your family?
Absolutely. I think that you have to take the action to be responsible for what you put in your own body. I have tons of people that are always telling me, I want to go vegan, but my family's cooking this certain way. But at the end of the day, if that's how you feel, you got to cook for yourself. You have to cook for yourself. And again, where there's a will, there's a way. What's so great about the world now is that there's a community within the palm of your hand. You know, your phone can actually be a portal for you to connect with other people who could be in a very similar situation, or it could be in a level that you're trying to get to. And if you're willing to be vulnerable and to put yourself in that position, you'll meet other people. And that's what I feel really blessed with my art. My art has reached other people from all around the world. And it started me being the only vegan that I knew to now being able to look at people in Japan protesting with my art in their hands. And I'm like, wow, man, you know, that's the power of this community, especially with veganism. Like, we're pretty much a family, you know? Yeah, you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid.
Yeah. You think we'll see a vegan world?
We better, because it's either we're going to see a vegan world or we're going to see a no world. That's how I see it. Honestly, I think that it's bound to happen. It's just about what it's going to take to make it happen. And I sure hope that it's for the better. I hope that it's not because we don't have an option. I hope it's something that, you know, I mean, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to fight for a vegan tomorrow until my last day. And if I'm not alone, then I think every person that joins in that fight, we get one step closer.
And do you have a quote you want to share?
I think one quote that I could definitely resonate with, it's not even a quote. It's just 3 words that I try to almost, it's like my mantra. Any decision, any move that I make, when I wake up, you know, it's hard out there. Like, I understand the global temperature is hot. But if you lead with light, life, and love, you will find your way, you'll find exactly what you need. Light, life, and love. Just always in your back of your mind. Is this light? Is this life? Is this love? And you'll be okay.
Now, it sounds like you've got a pretty strong, hardcore, ethical core in your veganism that can probably be difficult in such a non-vegan world.
Yeah.
How do you stay positive in such a non-vegan world?
I always remember that I wasn't born this way, you know, and that it took me, the first time I was exposed to what was happening in the slaughterhouses, I did look away. I had that moment of being like, oh man, I don't want to eat chicken. But I was young and naive and still felt like, it can't be that bad. So I always empathize with where other people are coming from. And it's a learning process. It's not a conversion. It's something that we're always getting better and learning more about it. Like, I didn't know that there were so many paper towel brands that have gelatin, which is an animal product, in them. And here I was being like, oh my gosh, you know, like, have I been vegan this long? I just used Bounty in that bathroom. But, you know, it's about the process of loving people. If we're trying to get people to love animals, we need to love people. And, you know, so you're patient, but you plant the seeds and you do it with love. That way people know that it's coming from not a radical standpoint, but a passionate standpoint.
How do you deal with somebody who pops up and they're totally anti-vegan?
Yeah.
And saying stuff maybe online.
Oh, yeah.
You just kind of ignore that, delete,
you know,
respond.
It depends on what kind of day they catch me on, you know what I mean? They could catch me on a very like, all right, I'll take you to the, you know, speech and debate room. Or they'll catch me on one of those days where I just go, you know what, man? That's cool. You can feel that way. I always know when I can reach someone. I always know when someone's actually listening. And I would say to other people, you know, like, go where the message can be received, because you don't want to end up in a conflict of your own interest. And I think with that, of course, take the risk. Talk to everybody you can about it. But almost do it with the same way that you would want somebody to talk to you about it. And for those people who are like, bacon though, all those things, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them because the fact that they spent that energy to criticize your lifestyle instead of either ignoring it or doing their own thing, man, that means they're actually hurting. That's a sign of hurt.
You know, it's kind of weird. It's like some people are going carnivore. They're trying so hard to accumulate evidence, to accumulate enough anecdotes, to accumulate something to justify this. They're doing everything in their power, and they're so far behind us. And I mean, we've got so many decades ahead of them, but it's just mind-blowing to me, because at the end of the day, what if they did show, oh, well, it might be as good, because it's
Yeah.
never going to be absolutely, oh, it is absolutely. It might be as good.
Yeah.
It's still never going to be as good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You still can't look at the science and the data that's showing how harmful that lifestyle is to the planet and be like, okay, we gotta reduce our CO2 emissions, but you guys can have that all animal diet. It's like at the end of the day, I have to look at people and be like, all right, but when are we all gonna really grow up and like see that humanity is at this bigger problem? It's not about whether or not you like vegans or whether or not you think they're annoying or whether or not you think animal eaters are annoying. It's like looking at each other as brother and sister and being like, okay, guys, are we gonna get our act together, or is Mother Nature gonna hit the hard reset? So.
You think there'll ever come a point where vegans will have to take more militant action to?
Unfortunately so, man. I think that it's getting to a point now where I could see where people could get fed up with being patient. So I do understand where people who go to the lengths of going into the slaughterhouses. I saw something recently where a bunch of protesters locked themselves into the gas chambers that the pigs were being killed in, and they stood their ground there and they got arrested for it. And I think that it always takes that measure of intensity to reach people. And that's where I implore everybody, if you are in the vegan movement, to do what you can. Because I'm not that type of person. Personally, I'm not that guy.
You're doing what you can, man.
And you see what I'm saying? I think that's the key, is that I was blessed with the ability to make art. And I make art about veganism. If you're a great musician, make songs about veganism. If you're in great shape and you're a vegan, man, make that your thing. Like find a way to represent veganism your way. And I think that when people see that, that's when the change, I'm getting goosebumps as I talk about it, because then that just builds a whole better world. You don't have to freaking slap a burger out of somebody's hand or create a vegan army. You know what I mean? You lead by example.
We approach it from every angle possible, man, using our own talents.
Absolutely.
And hopefully everybody out there will find a way to do that. Is there anything that we didn't hit on?
I guess just to reiterate it, for me, veganism was so much more than the word, right? It's almost like when you talk about God and everybody has their own feeling about, oh, it's that God, it's this God, or it's that God. Veganism, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's about kindness, it's about compassion, it's about love, it's about life. And I've yet to meet a human being that says no to all of those things. And for me, it's something that's like, if you want a life that exemplifies all those things, you have to take it one plate at a time. You have to actually take that extra moment to look at what you're doing, the life that you're leading, and the cause and effect behind it. Honestly, I haven't found a cleaner way of feeling good about my decisions better than veganism. I haven't found anything where I've gone, I think this is gonna minimize the most. It does it for me. And I know that it does the same for so many other people. I've watched it change lives, and I've watched it impact so many people in such a beautiful way. And I invite everyone to try it. I invite everyone to get on it.
Yeah. And if they need help?
Yeah, if you need help, man, there's so many influencers. If you don't have access to your phone like that, walk around the world. There's somebody around there, you know what I mean? And go to the events. If you see that there's vegan events in your community, go to those events. Ask questions. I think that one thing that's so cool about it is that no one here is trying to be the most vegan in the room. We're all just teaching each other and learning, and you don't have to come to it thinking like, oh, I don't know anything, I'm not as vegan as that person. My thing is that every step is a win. Every meal that you take, if there's no hate on your plate, that's a win, man.
What you got going on next?
Me personally, man, I got a lot of vegan murals that I'm planning right now. Hopefully we'll see them all over the beautiful city of Miami. I'm still always dropping a new piece about veganism every weekend. This is my first competition, but it won't be my last. So you can definitely expect to see me flexing in the future and collaborating with a lot more other vegans out there, other vegan artists. If you're watching this and you are a vegan, anything, feel free to reach out to me, man. Let's make this a family. You know what I mean? Let's make this something that stands the test of time and also saves the hourglass it's all in.
Yeah. Take advantage of the power of the collective.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. There's a reason why it's here. There's a reason why we're all here right now.
Excellent. Thanks again for your time, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure.
Choiceless, voiceless. This piece isn't about taking sides, it's about making connections. And once you see the atrocities in the animal agriculture industry, especially towards cows, it's obvious that beef and dairy is an exploitation of the sanctity of motherhood. You see, cows are female bovine. The only reason they produce milk is because they're pregnant. Not by natural means, of course. They are forcibly and artificially inseminated by humans on what the industry has termed the rape rack. The new mother is immediately separated from her baby after birth. If the calf is male, it'll be killed for veal or raised a little bit longer just to be slaughtered to become beef. If the calf is female, she awaits the same unfortunate destiny as her mother, and the cycle continues. It only ends when we as a species align our beliefs with our actions, and going vegan is the only way. Bad diet. Does your diet entail dying? If that wasn't in your plan, you might want to take a second look at your plate. Diet is the biggest contributor to health issues like cardiovascular disease, the greatest killer around the world, taking 17.9 million lives every single year. The second is cancer, killing 600,000 people each year in the US alone. Of the top 10 leading causes of death, 8 are health related. The CDC stated 70% of deaths are largely lifestyle related and preventable. We are literally eating ourselves to death, and the main ingredient in that dangerous dish is animal products. High consumption of red meat greatly increases your chances of developing heart disease. A study by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that one serving of processed meat per day increased the risk of developing diabetes by 51%. The studies are uncanny. Veganism isn't just about saving animal lives, it's about saving human lives too. So join the bison movement and go vegan today. That's bull. Violent traditions need to be kept in the past. Each year, thousands of bulls are slaughtered in bull rings around the world. Even before they enter the ring, bulls are abused with drugs, having their horns shaved, and even have their bones broken to give advantage to the matador. The picadors, men on horses, plunge sharp lances into the bull's back. After exhausting and torturing the bull, the matador attempts to sever the bull's aorta with his sword, which, if he fails, is followed by a dagger stab to the spinal cord. The crowd is happy with the matador's performance. The bull's ears or tails are cut off and presented as trophies. Although 100 towns in Spain have banned bullfighting, the cruel act is still carried out in many other towns and many other countries like France, Portugal, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and Ecuador. It's time to end animal cruelty for entertainment. Join the bison movement and become a voice for the voiceless. Cliffhanger. If you want to live, don't eat death. Diet is the biggest contributor to health issues like cardiovascular disease, the biggest killer around the world, taking 17.9 million lives every year. The second is cancer, killing 600,000 people each year in the US alone. Of the top 10 leading causes of death, 8 are health related. The CDC stated 70% of deaths and morbidity are largely lifestyle related and preventable. We are literally eating ourselves to death, and the main ingredient in that dangerous dish is animal products. High consumption in red meat greatly increases your chances of developing heart disease. A study by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that one serving of processed meat per day increased risk of developing diabetes by 51%. Dr. Michael Greger's research showed any animal protein boosts the level of cancer-promoting growth hormone IGF-1. The data is abundant, but it all points to one simple truth: eating meat is killing us. It's time to take back our health and secure a future for ourselves and the animals. The good die young. Not a fan of child abuse? What if I told you every animal you eat was just a child, more accurately, a baby, when they were slaughtered to become your meal? Birds like chickens, turkeys, and ducks can live up to 10 years in nature, but are slaughtered at just 8 to 26 weeks. Pigs in nature can live for about 15 years, but are killed at only 6 months old. Dairy cows can live up to 25 years, but are usually slaughtered at only 4 years. Beef cows can live up to 20 years, but are killed around 18 months of age. Even catfish, who can live up to 20 to 30 years in the wild, are slaughtered in just 2 years at factory farms. If the tables were turned, we'd be sending our babies and young children to slaughterhouses instead of their cribs or daycare. The modern demand for animal meat has expedited these poor innocents to an unnatural life expectancy. If we were to look past our physical differences, could you kill a child? If the answer is no, join the bison movement and go vegan today. Last meal. People care more about eating animals than the planet or our future on it. 51% of worldwide greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to animal agriculture, which is also responsible for 90% of the United States' water consumption and 33% of the world's water consumption. Animal agriculture is a leading cause of species extinction, ocean dead zones, water pollution, and habitat destruction. Going vegan is the only thing that can save us and the planet. Every day, a vegan saves 1,100 gallons of water, 45 pounds of grain, 30 square feet of forested land, 20 pounds of CO2, and one animal's life. Yee nah. Human entertainment doesn't justify animal cruelty. Whether it be a rodeo, horse racing, or riding in horse-drawn carriages, we must stop funding these cruel, socially desensitized forms of animal exploitation. Countless animals have paid with their lives to satisfy humans' desire to play cowboy in events such as calf roping, bull riding, steer wrestling, and bronco riding. Cattle and horses may be zapped with electric hot shots so that they'll charge out of the chute. Calves' necks are twisted as they're violently slammed onto the ground, and horses are viciously spurred into bucking. Animals used in rodeos have suffered fatal injuries, including broken backs and necks, heart attacks, and aneurysms. Those who manage to make it through unscathed are given little time to rest and recuperate. They are loaded into trucks, hauled to the next event, and forced to participate over and over again. When they become too old or worn out to continue, their retirement is a one-way trip to the slaughterhouse. Krill count. Overfishing and climate change are causing a huge decline in krill population. Why does the steady disappearance of a creature no bigger than a paperclip matter? Simple. Krill are the primary food source for 17 different marine animals like baleen whales, seals, penguins, fishes, birds, squids, and cephalopods. Over the past 40 years, population of adult Antarctic krill have declined by 70 to 80%. Climate change has been blamed for part of the decrease because the ice that is home to the algae and plankton krill feed on is receding. But recent developments in fishing technologies are worsening the problem. Without the foundation of krill, all of marine life is hanging on by a thread. Without their food source, other predators to krill like whales will begin to vanish. Whales recycle a lot of nutrients into the ocean, and the amount of recycled iron alone has dropped by 99.9%. So what can we do to help? Decrease the demand for seafood by not eating it. In addition to implementing better fishing sanctions, the simple act of not eating sea life will save sea life. Something smells fishy. Summer fun in the sun is abruptly stopped by red tide, a harmful algae bloom that, although naturally occurring, has been accelerated and intensified by humanity's mistreatment of the ocean. Red tide produces brevetoxins capable of killing fish, birds, and other marine animals. Brevetoxins may also cause health problems in humans like respiratory complications, infections, and in some severe cases, death. The biggest contributing factor to red tide is warming ocean temperatures, which draws us back to climate change, intimately tied to our abuse of the environment, especially the ocean. Scientists generally believe that coastal pollution from agricultural runoff, human sewage, and other sources contribute to red tide, but our demand for seafood and animal products is a direct cause to red tide. The animal agriculture industry is the biggest contributor to ocean pollution and dead zones, habitat destruction, and CO2 emissions. The ocean is the mother to all life, and if we destroy her, we guarantee our extinction. Slap of reality. How many reasons is it going to take to eat animals? So while the world throws all of its attention at the now infamous Will Smith Chris Rock slap, we continue to ignore the dangers eating animal products has on our health, the animals, the environment, and the future. It shouldn't take a reality slap to see the signs. We have to change our ways before it's too late. Some of the many reasons to go vegan include your health, because eating animal products is the biggest culprit to poor diet. The environment. The production of animal products leaves a bigger carbon footprint than cars, trucks, and airplanes combined. The future, because at the rate the human population is growing, there won't be enough natural resources like water or land to provide the demand for animal products, and of course the ethics behind treating animals so cruelly. Wake up before it's too late. Go vegan today. Supreme mistake. Once again, the Supreme Court has made a ruling that has put this country 20 years back in the wrong direction. On June 30th, 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court voted to restrict the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. West Virginia versus EPA limited the EPA's authority to regulate carbon emissions and further complicated an already dire climate crisis on our planet. Now, we're all aware of the harmful effects climate change has on our planet and the way it threatens our life on it. so we should not be taking this ruling lightly. If the Supreme Court and our government won't do anything to stop climate change, it's up to us as individuals to take action. Each meal we eat and every product we consume can either add or subtract from climate change, and a huge way of reducing our impact is going vegan. The tables have turned. 46 million turkeys and over 50 million other animals are killed in the US every Thanksgiving. How can we give thanks for life while perpetuating the torture and slaughter of millions of animals? One of the saddest parts is most of the animals killed for food aren't even eaten. In the United States, 40% of food goes to waste. An insane amount of food is wasted on Thanksgiving, including 200 million pounds of turkey. This habit of food waste poses a huge threat to our future. Society is barely supplying enough food for 7 billion people, with billions still starving. Food production must increase by 70% by 2050 to feed an expected global population of 9.1 billion people. But the yields of major world crops are not rising fast enough to meet that demand. That's because animal products require 4 to 40 times the calories to produce than they provide in nutrition when eaten. We are stuck in a cycle of global and self-destructive traditions. It's time to break free and go vegan.